So writing a autobiography is something very personal and probably not that easy as a task. What did you discover or rediscover about your life right while putting writing, your actual life?
How long I've been in the business. You know, you can't talk about everything. Some things are a secret,
Hmm.
secret.
Hmm.
Um, didn't discover anything new really. Just realized how long I've been working in this town since 1962.
So,
1962.
wow. Yeah.
Extraordinaire. Beaucoup du temps.
Beaucoup de temps. Mm.
So, no, I didn't discover anything new, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I'm a rather open person and have discussed these things over the years with one journalist or another.
So, like you said, I guess, not every truth is good to say. So, is there some subject that you really haven't tackled in that book on purpose to, because it's too.
You as a Frenchman should understand there are a lot of beautiful women around. So one has to be careful. And so, yeah,
Okay.
c'est une chose très difficile quelquefois.
Key moment in this book and key sentences. You said once your dad passed away, nothing was gonna ever be the same. You were never gonna be the same either. So how did it shape you as a man for the rest of your life?
You become your own father, in a sense. You defend yourself. You learn how to fight. And because you have to defend yourself, there's no one to protect you. So you learn to protect yourself. So this has played a big role sometimes. And that's why sports have been so important to me.
Hmm.
And leaves you with a lot of anger. When you are a boy between the age of 10 and 15 or 16 and your father suddenly disappears, it leaves you with a lot of anger, and you challenge authority. I don't take authority very much.
Mm.
You learn to be on your own, and that is not always good, but it has worked out well for me.
Hmm. So also very important moment is when you talk about your dad enrolling, the Nazi party, and um, you said this is what one did at this period of time. How challenging, how delicate was it to put that into words and write this chapter?
I never had any difficulty talking about that. It's an open book. It's most Germans who were in business or were officials at one time or another joined the party. You must remember, and this is where Hollywood has done such a disservice. Between 1933 and 1938, Hitler was extraordinarily successful, very successful. The dark side of that regime became evident to some people as early as 39, 40, 41, 39 when Germany attacked Poland. People knew this was insane. But the first 5 years, they were concerned with their welfare. They were concerned with making enough money to eat. Germany, prior to Hitler's takeover, was threatened by the Communist Party. In Germany, in America, in England, in France, they were afraid that you would have another revolution as you did in Russia in 1917. So Hitler came and promised that he would not nationalize German industry, that would remain in private hands. And then they were skeptical at first, and then he proved to the German people that economically things improved enormously, enormously. Arguably more successful than at any other period of time in modern history. And all the terrible things, the horrors, happened under the cloak of war. Not that people didn't know that he was anti-Semitic, he was, obviously. But so were the Americans, so were the Brits, so were the French.
Mm-hmm.
And you had people who were and who weren't. The extremes to which this anti-Semitism manifested itself in Germany is unlike any horror anywhere in the world. You can't revise it, you can't revisit it and say it was not so, it was so. The worst horrors ever committed by civilized human beings towards their own citizens. There were 500,000 Jews in Germany when Hitler assumed power, 500,000, who were more successfully assimilated in German society than they were in America or France or England.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 500,000 Jews in Germany, 300,000 had left by 1938-39. 200,000 stayed because they didn't believe that Hitler would last. A lot of Germans didn't think he would last because we'd had so many changes of government before. So they stayed and they died in camps. The millions came from occupied areas, including France, Hungary, Poland, Russia, a lot of them from those areas. It is obviously a blemish on German history that we will never fully live down. But it happened under the cloak of war. What people nowadays, when they look at history with 20/20 hindsight, they say, oh, how could that happen? Well, there was no public speaker on television, there wasn't television, nor on radio. He owned radio. He took over radio completely. He took over the press completely. There was no one, had they found out about it, who then said, Hitler's killing 6 million Jews. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
If that had been known, there would have been a revolution in Germany. I'm absolutely certain of it.
Mm-hmm.
If they'd known the extent of the piggery, it's unimaginable. And no halfway decent human being would have gone along with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a complex issue. Remember in France you had the Vichy government, a lot of questions about that. To what degree did they cooperate? In England you had parties who were pro-Nazi, pro-Hitler. In America it's sympathizers with Hitler. I mean it's Stalin signed a non-aggression treaty with Hitler in 1938. No one knew what that son of a bitch was up to. Really. No one knew. And they tolerated him because his major purpose was to defeat communism and eventually to go after the Russians, I guess. It's a very complex story.
So on a lighter note, you decide to conquer the US, you take the boat. First thing you see is the Statue of Liberty, you sing in the book.
Yeah.
And then you do a lot of jobs. One of them, like cutting dead bodies, I mean, being a cowboy, I mean, so many things. I mean, when you see all those things you've done, what kind of philosophy it gives you for life, to accomplish all those little things before becoming the actor in Hollywood?
I think the most important thing is to imbue your children with a basic sense of decency and a basic sense of what is right and what is wrong. To imbue your children with a moral compass, to never give up. I don't give up. And that either is part of my genetic heritage, but I think it has more to do with my having grown up in sports. In sports, you never give up. Never. You lose, and you say, okay, how can I improve to become better next and beat the guy next time? Okay? That's a driving thing in me. You compete with me? Okay, let's go. Ping pong, tennis, boxing, lifting, throwing the javelin, shot put, discus, soccer, never give up. By the way, I like the team of Zinedine Zidane, of Thierry Henry. Wow, what a team.
Yeah, that was something, yeah.
Thierry Henry was a fabulous player. Zinedine Zidane was an artiste avec le ballon. You call it ballon?
True.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Incroyable. Incroyable. But you fight. You lose a game or you lose in sports, And you go home and you are depressed, and then you say, okay, how can I improve? And then you come back.
Victor, so at first you wanted to play in 3 months.
Yeah.
4 decades, almost 4 decades later, you
Yeah.
still. How surprising is that? I mean, what happened between those 3 months and those 4 decades?
They've gone by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible how fast it has gone by. After 3 months, after the first year, Bill Bell, the creator, came up with a storyline where Victor explained to Nicky his childhood, and that he was left at the doorstep of an orphanage when he was 7 years old. And once I played that scene, I say, I'll stay, because it opened up a whole array of possibilities. It opened up also the possibility to play a vulnerability. And I played so many bad guys before in nighttime television and films that it was a relief to finally do something that explained why I was as bad as I was. And when you are left at an orphanage at the age of 7, you either go under or you come back stronger. And yet he never trusts anyone either, because he was left by his mother and his father at an orphanage. So you never trust anyone after that. So the tragedy in the character of Victor Newman lies in the fact that he wants family, he wants everyone, and he wants everyone to love each other, but he doesn't trust it. Essentially, he doesn't trust it. And that's tragic. And that's what attracted me to the character.
So we have to tell you, in France, the show, you know that the show is big. They just recently changed it from after the news, after lunch at 1 o'clock p.m. to in the morning at 11. And the French went bursting.
Why did they do that? Because someone had the brilliant idea and said, oh, let's change. You don't change that. It becomes a habit. And unless there's a very fundamental financial reason, why the hell would you do it? Let me tell you something. The Germans interviewed me once. They wanted to show the show in Germany. And they said, oh, we're going to play it at 11 o'clock in the morning. At 10. I said, huge mistake. It will fail. And it did. It only played about 3 months. People weren't used to watching television then. 10:30, 11 in the morning. To hell with it. Doesn't work. When you have something that is successful, and the German guys thought they were smarter than everyone else. You're not smarter, you know. Just go by what other countries experience. And this should show either after lunch, because in Europe you have a siesta, and people enjoy it then, or you do it around 5, 6, 7, you know, but not at 10:30, 11 in the morning.
Is there something about Victor that he hasn't accomplished yet? A resolution that he hasn't taken yet? Something that you wish the writers would go in direction to that hasn't been done? A side of him or something that you wish for?
No. I trust the writers. I really do. Writing is the most difficult part of our business. Very difficult. Imagine sitting there by yourself and by yourself. It's very difficult. So I have great respect for writers. My son is a writer and a director now as well. He directs his own film, a film called Den of Thieves, with Gerard Butler and the rapper 50 Cent and O'Shea Jackson. And I'm very proud of him. C'est mon fils. He's a very good writer, but now he's directing his first film. So he is doing what I always wanted to do. Interesting. I never told him that I wanted to do that, but I always secretly wanted to write and direct. I enjoy acting, but I like to write and direct as well. And he's doing it. So it's interesting how my innate desires were transferred to him without me ever talking to him about it.
Talking about him and your wife, did they read the book and did they give what kind of feedback they gave
My
you?
son has not read the book yet because he's busy directing the film. the shooting in Atlanta, Georgia. And my wife read it, obviously read it, and she liked it. On the whole, she liked it.
One more thing you want to add about, the book is probably going to be released in French soon, So is there something in this book that is, of course it's close from your heart, it's your life, right? But is there something, a detail that you want to tell us while writing it, while promoting it, that struck you the most?
It's amazing how many people have reacted to it, It's already in the bestseller list, on Publishers Weekly bestseller list. And it obviously touches a lot of people. I didn't think so. And I'm very happy about that. I have a lot of interviews, a lot of signing and all that. A little tired of it, but it's ma vie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And to the French fans, I love you, and I want to see you soon.